Steve, good to see you today. We've got, again, Clemson and Georgia. That sounds like a marquee matchup, but then again, Georgia's a substantial favorite.
Yeah, and after Clemson won in 2018, they lost back-to-back bowl games against LSU and Ohio State those next 2 years, yet they were still a favorite. People probably don't realize they were a 2.5 to 3 point favorite in 2021 when these teams met in that kickoff game 3 years ago. And, of course, it's hard to imagine they were favored because they were just shut down by Georgia, held to 180 total yards and only 3 points in that game, despite being a 3-point favorite. Georgia didn't do much, too, either offensively, only about 250 yards, 10 points. And, of course, Clemson started that year actually failing to cover their first 6 1A games. So it really was kind of the beginning of the end for the Clemson dynasty. Now we see if Georgia can pick things back up because Georgia had won back-to-back national titles. In fact, it started with that 2021 season. And then they started off with a nice win against Oregon in 2022, held the Ducks to just 3 points. So if this is similar to those two type of games, which I think it could be a lower scoring game than expected. We have this total around 48.5 right now. My database simulation favors Georgia by 17 points on average. So the line currently 13.5. There is some value with Georgia below 2 touchdowns. My concern, of course, laying 2 touchdowns is if it is a lower scoring game, it makes it a little bit difficult to win by margin. But we saw Georgia blow at Oregon a couple years ago. We saw them win outright as a dog against Clemson 3 years ago. And last year they had a non-test in week 1. I also think Georgia will be playing with a chip on their shoulder. If we had this current playoff system, they very well might have been the national champ for the 3rd straight year last year. They would have had a chance to at least compete. And I think they probably are the best team in college football. So Georgia would be my play at 13.5 or less. And I also like the under in this game.
You get Steve's exclusive Under the Radar selection right here at the Voice of College Football as a member on Patreon or our YouTube channel. And you get more information on that here in just a second. Join Steve on a regular basis at wagertalk.com. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks, Mark.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly Under the Radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.